I want to say just a few words about aesthetics in the context of commercializing design, and this is going to be largely in the context of product development, product design. So this is strictly optional, but for those of you who are interested in commercialization, I would just want to make a few additional comments. This example is of the S2 framing hammer that was designed by Atom Design for Vaughan and Bushnell, which is a high-end tool manufacturer. And it's hard to imagine an artifact that is more purely functional than a hammer. And yet, even in this case, I think that applying deliberate attention to the aesthetics of the artifact is really important. And there are two main reasons for that. One is, I think that there's some the beauty of this object attracts attention to it and allows the user, or in this case the customer in this commercial context, to spend some more time. It attracts the user to spend some more time investigating what this is all about. And even things like the use of the contrasting color for the shock-absorbing rubber elements and the way the fasteners are detailed, that attention to detail and care in the aesthetics of this object contribute to its commercialization. That is, attract the user to spend some more time investigating it. And also, even in a purely functional category like this, your users often take great pride in their tools and the products they buy, and they think of them as objects of beauty. And so if you as a producer can also impart some beauty to these objects, you'll have better commercial success. So I guess the bottom line on this point is there probably is no object so purely functional that it doesn't benefit from some explicit attention to the aesthetics of the design. The second point I want to make is let me just pose a thought experiment, which is, which of these two laptops is the better design? One is a ThinkPad and one is a MacBook. One is the Apple MacBook Air and the other is the Lenovo ThinkPad. And they have similar prices, they have similar functional performance. Is one of them the better design? Now, some of you might argue, because of the media and because of the consumer attention, that the Apple product is the better design. I actually have that Apple product. It is a beautiful design, unambiguously. It's a beautiful design. But I would argue that the ThinkPad is an equally good design. It's just a different design, and it's a design that is working for the company in a different way than the MacBook Pro design is. So the MacBook Air in this case is an elegant tool for the creative professional. That's the way it's positioned. And it also, I suppose, is positioned for the free-thinking consumer. Those are kind of that's what Apple is trying to do with this design. The ThinkPad, on the other hand, is positioned as a power tool for the business elite. So imagine yourself on an airplane traveling to some business meeting, and the creative professional pulls out the MacBook Air and the hedge fund manager pulls out the ThinkPad. Those are perfectly consistent product choices for those two different people. And it would be a mistake for Lenovo, the maker of the ThinkPad, to try to mirror what Apple is doing with this product, because they have very different positions in the market. Incidentally, the first ThinkPad was designed by Richard Sapper, who's a very prominent designer, icon really of contemporary product design. And he wrote of the ThinkPad, or said of the ThinkPad, that I designed this to be a power tool for the business elite. I dressed it in an evening suit complete with a red bow tie. And if you look at the dress of this product, it is very much a tuxedo or an evening suit, and it has that nice accented red bow tie. So while I personally quite like my MacBook Air, it's a mistake to think that in a commercial context, there's a single style that's better than another style. Two designs can be equally well executed and position their products very differently, as is the case here, and both can be great design. The third comment I just want to make about commercialization is, and product design really is 2 points about this example. This is an example of the Veloci electric motorbike that my brother and I designed as part of the company I describe in one of the other modules, Nova Cruz Products. This was not a particularly elegant design in terms of the aesthetics. We had to do this very cost efficiently with a lot of off-the-shelf parts. It's a pretty purely functional design. We didn't have a lot of money we could spend on complex shapes, on molds and dies for complex shapes. The point I want to make here is that it's really 2 points. First of all, even a purely functional object, that is an object that is designed with almost pure function, if you demonstrate care and craft in its design, can be quite beautiful. It can be quite beautiful in an elemental way. And here we did use a red accent color, which is kind of an inexpensive trick in order to give a little visual interest to the product. But pretty much this is a almost purely functional machine, and it still can be quite beautiful if there's a lot of care and craft that's applied to it. The second point I'll make about this example is that great photography can make even a sort of mundane product quite beautiful. So the photography here is really amazing. This was done by a very good professional product photographer, and you can see that he's got almost perfect illumination even down into the pockets of the swing arm here. He's done a beautiful job of getting the contrast and exposing the detail. And the reflections are perfect, the background is perfect, the lighting is just amazing. And that photography makes the product look in effect better than it actually does in live. And so when you're trying to commercialize a product, you do your best on the design, but then don't skimp on the photography, because the photography is what makes your product pop off the screen or pop off the page of the brochure when you go to commercialize.